Good morning, students. So in today's video, inheritance extending classes, I'll be discussing about more about the inheritance. Okay, so let's move on to today's class topic. So today's topic to discuss visibility modes, programs. Okay, table on visibility of inherited class members, and table on inheritance and access control. So let's have a look at the first one, that is visibility modes program. Okay, now this is to make you understand more about the visibility modes, the access specifiers. Okay, because based on this visibility modes access specifier, okay, the derived classes, okay, which is inheriting from the base class, based on the visibility mode, it will have access, restricted access or full access to the members, the data members and the member functions that is inherited from the base class. Okay, so it is very important. So let's have a look at the first one. So here a simple program on private visibility mode. Okay, if you see on the left side, I have attached a program, a short program. Okay, so here you have two class. One is class B, that is the base class. The name of the class is B. Okay, and the other one is class D. So class, the name of the class is D, the class name. So which is derived class. So let's first, if you see the class B, the class B definition. Okay, under the parenthesis, under the brackets. Okay, so you have private, public and protected. Okay, so the members has been declared as private, public and protected, all three. So to show you the difference how it works, so in the first case, as a under the private label, okay, you have the data members. You have one data member declared as in A, and you have one member function void test void. Okay, so both these members are private. So in the base class, okay, the members are declared as private, it cannot be inherited to the derived class. The derived class cannot have access to the private members. Okay, so this is also applicable in real life situations. Okay, so in the now next you have public access. So in terms of public visibility mode, okay, here also you have the variable or the data member int B and the member function void get data void. Okay, so these members are declared as public. So in case, so here since the members in B and get data is declared as public, okay, so this can be accessed by the derived class. It can also be accessed by the object of the derived class. Okay, it can also be accessed by the object of the derived class. So now coming back to the object, okay, let me just tell you something important. Okay, when we use inheritance, you will observe that mostly the objects that is created, okay, is from the derived class, not from the base class. Okay, because uh, the from the base class, when we start from the base class, you will have multiple derived class which is derived from the base class, and the next derived class acts as a base class for the lower uh, derived class, right? So what happens is that from the base class you're inheriting the members based on the visibility mode. Is it private, is it public, is it protected, right? So so only the members are only the members gets copied like that, right? So in that case, okay, what happens is that mostly the objects is declared in the derived class section. Okay, So it becomes mandatory for the derived class to pass arguments to the base class constructors. Okay. So yes, in yesterday's video I discussed about the constructors, default constructor from the derived class to the base class, like that, right? So okay, continuing on to the protected access specifier. Here int c and void put data. Now this has been declared as protected under the class, under the base class B. So now since it is a protected access specifier, acts as public and private both. Okay, public and private. Private in the sense that, okay, public in the sense that, okay, the derived class can inherit the members of the protected access specifier. Okay, but the object of the object, okay, of the derived class cannot have access to the protected members. Okay, so it can only be accessed within the class definition section. The object itself cannot access the protected members, just like private data members, right? The private data members cannot be accessed by the object itself, right? So how is it accessed? By public member functions, right? So similarly, under protected also it can be accessed by the public member functions. Okay, so in here, in the next line, class D colon private B. Okay, so the colon signifies that the class, the derived class D, is inherited from the uh, class B. Okay, here you can see that the uh, class, base class B, has been uh, derived as private, right? So the derived class D has only uh, no access to the private members, that is int a and void test. Okay, it can have or access only to the public and protected members. Okay, it can have access only to the public and protected members. However, you will see that in the class D, okay, there it has its own members as private int p, so that belongs to the class D. Okay, and under the public access specifier int q and void display, okay, this also belongs to the derived class only, not to the base class. The base class can in no way access the members of the uh, derived class, that is int p, int q, int r. The base class cannot access that. Okay, only the derived class can, derived class, that is if there is a class below class D, okay, then it can access this int p, int q, int r. Okay, so in the on the right hand side in the block diagram you see the class P. Okay, so here under the block section you see that a private section, so you have the data member and the member function test, which is private. Okay, and then under the public section you have B and get data, and under protected you have C and put data. Okay, so now these two public and protected will be inherited, okay, uh, to class D. Okay, so if the class D, derived class, meets requirements of this public section and protected section, it is able to access it. Okay, uh, in the case of this block diagram, okay, we are discussing about private. So what happened is that when the base class has been declared as private under a derived class, okay, then the private members cannot be accessed, cannot be inherited under the class D. Okay, but the public and protected can be inherited. So in such case, what happens is that, okay, these public access members, these public members and the protected members both become private under the new class derived D. Okay, so it was in the base class, it was public and protected, but when it is accessed, when it is inherited, okay, into the new class D, okay, then it would become private, as you can see in the block diagram. Okay, under the private section, B and C and get data, put data is considered as private. Okay, so only its own class or its member functions can access it. So this private these private members cannot be derived or cannot be inherited by the lower derived classes, that is below class D. Okay, if suppose there is a class E, okay, then the B and C and P, that is P belongs to the class D. Okay, so all these three private members cannot be accessed at all, that is B, C, P. Okay, similarly get data, put data and input cannot be inherited by the lower derived classes. Okay, so as you can see there, Q and R, it belongs to the class D. Okay, so uh, so that is about private visibility mode. Okay, next let's get on to the next slide. So here where we see the comparison between public and protected. Okay, here under the public, if you see that on the left hand side, okay, you have the class B, same. Okay, private, public, protected. Okay, so private members, protected, public members and protected members. So when the base class is derived, okay, is inherited as public uh, from the derived class, okay, that is in case of this one, if this instead of private, okay, if this is written as public, okay, then we get to execute these following statements. Okay, so here if that changes to public, okay, so under the class D, if you see it has its own private members. Okay, so B and B, it was public under the class B, right? So when it gets inherited, okay, it will still remain as public under the new class D. Okay, and for protected, okay, for protected, it will remain as protected when the base class is inherited as public, okay, in the derived class. Okay, so public will remain as public and then protected will remain as protected. Okay, and private will still not be inherited. Okay, so under the protected visibility mode, okay, now if you change that to protected, okay, if the base class is inherited as protected by the derived class, then private still cannot be inherited at all. Okay, then the public members which of class B of the base class, when it is inherited in the derived class, it will change to protected. Okay, and then again the protected members will remain the same, it will stay as protected only. Okay, so only the public members will change to protected under the new derived class. Okay, so when it changes to protected, what happens? Okay, it has to be declared or defined within its own class definition only, because the object itself cannot access protected members. Okay, only through the member functions it will be able to access the protected members. Okay, now let's move on to the table. So here the first table is visibility of inherited class members. Okay, so what are different modes of visibility? So when the access specifier of the base class members, okay, that is the data members and the member functions, when it is made public, okay, so then in that case, okay, under the visibility mode public, okay, it will stay as public. Okay, but under the visibility mode private, okay, so in the derived class, when it is being set as private, okay, which we have just discussed few minutes back, okay, it will be changed to private. Public members will change to private. Okay, So when the base class is public, class members are public, okay, but the visibility mode has been inherited as protected, okay, then the public members will change to protected. Okay, similarly under protected, okay, if the base class members uh, are declared as protected, okay, when it is being inherited as public, okay, then it will remain protected, okay. In the under the private mode, okay, the protected will change to private, okay. And under the visibility mode, protected, it will remain protected. So you can see that in the public section, the protected does not change to public, but it stays as protected only, okay. And if you see under the public, when the base class members is private, okay, whether it is public, private, or protected, it cannot be inherited at all, okay. Now let's move on to the next table. So table number 2, inheritance and access control. So here you have access specifier of base class, okay. So when the visibility mode is public, right, then access from the own class, yes, its own class will be able to access the members, okay. Then what about the derived class? Yes, the derived class can also access it, the public members, okay. Then access from objects outside class, yes, when the class declares the object can directly access the members, right, not through the member function, but it can directly access and initialize the members when it has the base class is declared as public, okay. So when the base class is protected, okay, then its own class can access it, yes. Derived class can also access it, yes, but access from objects outside the class, it is not able to access it, okay. So the own object cannot access the protected members, okay. In case of private, access from the own class, yes, okay, that is provided you have a public member function, okay, because objects cannot access private members, right, okay. And then access from derived class, that is also yes, that is provided you have a public member functions, okay, but the objects cannot access the private uh, members, okay. Then access from objects outside class, so the object is not able to access the private members at all, okay. So only through the public member functions, okay, it will be able to access the private members, okay. So I hope that you have understood visibility modes, okay. The more you practice, the more you study, okay, you will understand these visibility modes, okay. It is very difficult to explain all the details, okay, since time constraint, okay, and since it is not possible to explain all the details, so as much as possible go through the textbook, okay, study from tutorials, and then learn from Google search and learn from the text materials, okay. So that will be all for today, okay. Study hard.